walked through sunshine, we stood in rain. We've danced in joy and we've wept through pain. Through every valley, through every climb, a love eternal stands the test of time. Faith, fun, and forever love, built on grace sent from above. There's storms that shake through skies that clear. His hand has held us year by year.
Y'all know y'all like that. It's a jam.
You know it's a jam. You ought to hear the second verse. The second verse is even better than the first verse. But,
no, we can only play so much.
But we can only play so much. Maybe one of these times we'll play the second verse. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Monday Marriage Matters. And we are thrilled that
you're a little hyped.
Hey, I just came in off the field. You know what that means. So I'm still running on hype juice right now. But we're thrilled that you're here to join us on this Monday. Because what we're about is building healthy, wonderful, happily ever afters that span the decades, not just the years, but the decades. And so we appreciate those of you, if you're entering decade number 1, 2, or like we are smack in the middle of entering the other side of halfway through decade number 3, literally. Or if you just got married last week, hey, this is for you because we are giving you powerful insight and tools and tricks that you can use to help make your marriage become everything that God called it to be and you want it to be. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble.
All right, what are we talking about this week?
We are talking about minding minding your mind. Mind matters. Mind matters. I was trying to make it slick, though.
I know, but it wasn't working.
It wasn't hitting like that. But we are talking about how your mind matters, your mental health, your stability, right? Not only you individually, but collectively in your relationship. How are y'all doing mentally?
Yeah. And before we get going and we get into our talk today, I just want to tell you a couple of cool things that are going to be happening. You will notice that we're going to start migrating over to an actual page. Right now we have a group and the group will stay. We're not going to get rid of the group. We will just connect the group to the page, but we will actually have a page that is Marriage Matters with Bill and Michelle, because we are going to be going live on radio. What? And so it will not terrestrial radio on streaming radio. And so you'll be able to, get it from your phone, listen wherever you are. But it'll also keep everything versus it going into the ether world. So we are going to switch the page. We are going to make an actual Marriage Matters or Marriage Encounters page, because that's where we'll start going live. So we won't be live on my page anymore. We'll be live in that Marriage Encounters page, and we'll start migrating all of that stuff over this month. We'll be sending you reminders and letting you know that that's where we're going, so that you're not like, what? Where do they go?
Where'd they go?
That's what we're doing, and we will be on radio. We'll be telling you more about that. It is an hour spot that we have. 30 minutes. 30 minutes will still be what we do here. So we'll be sharing some of the same things that we do here, and it'll actually be some of the same shows that we do here. And then our second half will be some interviews. So that may be both of us together, maybe just him, maybe just me. But there's just some interviews that we'll be doing. Some of them will be about marriage. Some of them will be about other things. But that'll just kind of be, keep that in your pocket.
Right. Okay. So that's what's happening in the very, very near future.
Yeah. So as we start to think about mental health, and emotional health, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so we want to really talk about what affects your marriage. Most couples don't realize that, the stress, especially if you are couples of color, there's just some stress that happens in your lives that you don't even realize.
Particularly even now in the climate that we're in.
Yeah. And I mean, the fact that gas is like, you need to shave off a little bit of your arm in order to get some gas in your car. All of those things are stresses that we don't always think about. And so last week we talked about stress in the house. We talked about how sometimes those subtle things, those things that we may not really be cognizant of, the pressures of life really do impede our communication and our connection and our closeness, because we get out there into the world and we're fighting, and then we come into the house and sometimes there's stuff going on and we find ourselves fighting on every side, and so it can be stressful.
Mhm. And so today we're talking about something that every healthy relationship needs. Every healthy relationship needs this one key ingredient, right? It's like Clorox. That's what you use to get, or bleach to get your clothes white. Now I know they got some modern junk now, but back in the day, if your whites didn't come out of that washing machine smelling like bleach, wasn't clean, right? But hey, what every marriage needs is emotional safety.
Yeah.
Emotional safety. What does that mean?
So when we think about emotional safety, we're thinking about just those opportunities that we have to be able to share, to be able to be vulnerable, to be able to be open in a space where we are not, we don't feel like there's, issues. And so a lot of people are physically present in their marriages, but they don't have that ability or that closeness to be able to say, like, hey, this is what's going on. I'm feeling this kind of way, or, do you realize what's happening in me? And so that's, I think, what we're talking about that's missing.
Okay. I agree. I mean, not having, and when that happens, you become emotionally guarded sometimes, right? But many times it's not because the couple doesn't love each other. That's not it. It's because somewhere along the way, honesty stopped feeling safe. And when honesty stops feeling safe, ladies and gentlemen, it is replaced. And when people don't feel emotionally safe, they don't open up. And when they do feel emotionally safe, they open up and talk more honestly. And the communication becomes more clear because I'm not hiding. But oftentimes, all it takes is one bad experience and, you'll close down and you don't even realize that you closed down. But yeah, you're not communicating, you're not sharing and expressing your feelings openly. And so now there's a chasm, or there's a gap in that relationship. And we got to figure out how to get y'all both across that chasm. And the way we do it is we open up emotionally safe spaces. Now, there needs to be some rules. Let's be clear on that. But emotionally safe spaces where we can talk, we can communicate, and we know that what I'm saying is not going to the person next door or on Facebook or any of that, right? You need to have some quiet conversations, ladies. I don't mean quiet as in
whispering.
I mean quiet as in this is between us.
Right.
This is a quiet, y'all got that? This is a quiet conversation. Yeah. This conversation is between us, all right?
Yeah. And I think sometimes when we start to shut down, it's because we feel like we're being criticized, or we feel like that what we said was dismissed or made fun of. I know for me, I just have to think about, like I'm not as adventurous now as I used to be. I don't take as many risks. And part of that was and this doesn't have anything to do with you, but just not feeling emotionally safe to take risk in certain spaces. And so I find that even when I am at a place where I probably can take some risk, I don't, because there have been times when it has been mocked, or it has been, like, why are you doing that? Like, you'll never see me dance in public, like really dance in public. Why? Because I've been mocked. So I don't. You won't ever really see it. Like, I mean, I'll kind of strut around, but not really dance.
What do you mean you've been mocked? What does that mean?
It means, so mocked means that you make fun of somebody. Yeah, okay. Oh, girl, do you have rhythm? Okay. Those kinds of things. Statements that we make. Sometimes we feel like they're funny, but the person that's received them may not feel like they're funny. Right. Okay. Or so if there's a constant misunderstanding, then sometimes we will shut down. If every time I say something, there's always some rebuttal, or there's always some comeback, there's always some quick snide remark, then I'm probably not going to say anything. I'm just going to, like, oh, you know what? You can do whatever you want to. And so that silence starts to get in there, and it replaces that connection. And so when we start to look at, Can I talk about this? Can I not? So the real question couples need to really ask is, can my spouse tell me the truth without fear? Can they tell me what they're really feeling? Can they tell me what they're really thinking without me making them feel some kind of way? Okay. So they shouldn't have the fear of being rejected. They shouldn't have the fear of being judged. They shouldn't have the fear of being attacked or ignored or made fun of or called names, because their ideal or the thing that they're trying to get you to understand is different than what you would normally do.
No, I would agree. And the truth of the matter is, if honesty feels dangerous, you're going to stop being honest.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes it's not what you say, it's how we respond. And sometimes how we respond determines how your spouse responds, determines what you say next. All of this matters. It could be the tone, it could be your facial expression, timing matters, especially between men and women. Because if you notice, women talk faster than men. Just the way it is.
We have more to say.
I guess y'all have more. They have more to say than what men do. Probably so. Men don't talk as fast as women. So if I'm having a conversation or if I'm conversing and I get interrupted too many times, then at that point I'm gonna start shutting down, because obviously you ain't trying to hear what I gotta say. So timing matters, ladies and gentlemen. Timing matters. Okay, let your spouse finish what they're saying. If they communicate slower, so what? What y'all got? Y'all got something to do? Right? So let them get their point out. And how do you do that? Some ways you do that is by making a simple statement. Okay, I understand. But you don't want to be like it halfway in their conversation. Like, okay, I understand, and you ready to launch back into the deep. No, we ain't catching fish. This ain't Peter or John. Okay, we ain't launching into the deep. No, sir. So what you need to do is allow them the opportunity to finish what they're saying, take a breath, then respond. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that you are not really listening because you really don't care. Because if you listen, you would slow down and let me finish. I'm gonna add this. I never will get. We were in a seminar one time. I was the only guy there, and there were several ladies presenting, and they asked for my opinion. I said, listen, I speak guy. I speak good old fashioned guy. Okay. And I told them, I said, the only problem I see is that y'all are talking so fast till in this audience, everybody's catching it. But if this was a boardroom full of men, you're going to have to slow that down, because what's going to happen is the men in there are going to hear, and all of a sudden, they're not going to listen. It's
Does it
true.
sound like that?
It sounds just, and all of a sudden they're going to shut down listening. Why? Because this sounds like
It's Charlie Brown.
Yeah, and I ain't trying to hear that. So I told them, y'all presentations were excellent, but you need to slow down a little bit, because your audience is not always going to be female. You need to slow down. So expression matters, facial expression, timing, and how you respond. All that matters.
But I think it goes back to what you just said. You have to know your audience.
Good point.
So you have to know your spouse. You have to
Mhm.
know if your spouse is a person that needs extra timing because the way they process is hey, I got to think about it. I got to sleep on it.
Right.
I got to, mull it over. I got to do the, pluses and minuses before I can come back and bring you or you have that person who's like you, who always has like a million ideals in their head. And so there's always this piece in which, like, let me fix this so I can move on to my next thing, which sometimes for women, we're not having the conversation because we want you to fix it. We're having the conversation because you're my sounding board. I need you to listen to what I'm saying. Listen, Linda, I just need you to listen and not to try to fix it.
Yeah, because I'm going to fix it. Doggone, give me a hammer and nail, screwdriver, torque wrench. You know what I'm saying? Sawzall. We're going to fix this because I got other stuff to do. And my wife is very right. I mean, because in the world that I'm engaged in, problems have to be fixed. I mean, seriously.
Well, I
it's
think that's
just that
most
simple.
men. I
Yeah.
think most men look at, like, I'm telling you all the parts. This person did this and this person did that and blah, 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 blah. And I think in your mind, you're like, okay, what are we fixing?
Right.
And I think most men are prone and conditioned to, hey, let's just fix the problem, which and there's not always, we're not always having a conversation because there's a problem to fix. Sometimes I'm just telling you what's in my heart or what's in my mind or what's in my spirit because I need to get it out. Not because I need you to fix it, because ultimately, if we're honest, we all have the answers inside of us.
Most of the time.
We have the answers. We already know the answer.
Sometimes we don't listen or we don't do what we're supposed to do.
Sometimes we just don't like the answer.
That
Like
part.
we know the answer. We know that the answer is no, but we want someone to justify, or we want somebody to go in and give us a reason why we don't, why no is
Don't
not
have
the
to
right
listen.
answer.
Right.
But we already know that. And so sometimes it's really just, when we think about how we get into these spaces, we have to make sure that we don't have a defensive response, because sometimes when we're having the conversation and we throw out that conversation and the conversation, the response comes back and it's very aggressive or very dismissive, then I'm gonna shut down. Or I'm telling you, hey, this has hurt my feelings, and you're like, well, that's just how we are. We the forks, and we just
and the forks don't get along with the spoons. Right?
So if we're not careful, then that person gets shut down, man or woman, because baby, I have seen some men pout. So don't try to act like it's just women. There is some of those pieces, and so people remember the environment where they felt emotionally unsafe. Here's the thing, and we did prison ministry for a really long time, and we used to try to remind the men, especially when they were about to get out, and men would come in and they'd be like, oh, my wife is this and this and this, and she's saying this. Bro, when you went to jail, you were busting her upside the head.
Right.
Now you found Jesus and you want her to be okay.
Right.
She is still at that place of being emotionally unsafe. Therefore, you have to prove to her that you are a safe space, and you haven't done that yet.
Right.
So until you show her that you're a safe space, you are going to continue to be in this space of she doesn't trust you. Okay. So one of the quickest ways to damage intimacy is using someone's vulnerability against them. When we think about, that we've had a interaction, and if you bring back up, throw it in their face. Yeah, you was just crying the other day. What? Come on now.
Yeah, that's a dangerous spot to be.
Come on.
Because if your spouse opens up about fears, insecurity, struggles, emotions, and women aren't the only ones to deal with this. Men deal with fears, insecurities, what's going to happen tomorrow, especially when you get older and you're dealing with health concerns and all these things. Not that we're not healthy, thank God for that.
Praise God.
But, you're dealing with all these issues, and what you don't need is somebody to take your issues and weaponize them, right, during conflict. And so they heard you say that a year and a half ago, and they just been holding on to it, waiting for the right moment to drop that bomb on you, like that band. You dropped a bomb on me, right? They just waiting for that right moment to drop that bomb back on you. What you really did was you took your spouse's vulnerability and created a weapon out of it, ready to use at your disposal. But what you don't realize is once that weapon is launched verbally, it can never return. Once it's out the chute, you can't pull it back. So not only does your spouse live with the damage, but you're going to live with the damage of sending the weapon out in the first place, right?
When you said that, it made me think about how, like when you get a bedspread and you put it on your bed, have it in there, you wash it, you put it back, and then you try to put it back in that bag that they gave it to you in. It
Never
never,
fits.
it never fits
It
right.
ain't gonna fit. It ain't gonna fit. You might as well do the flip fold. Flip, flip, fold, flip, flip, fold, and put it in the cabinet because it ain't going back in there.
At
right?
least not like that, like it came out.
Right, right. So when people open up through struggles, emotions, or fears, that's sacred ground because most people are carrying stress, grief, anxiety, disappointment. Matter of fact, emotional exhaustion quietly. We all are. We all are carrying a level of stress and anxiety. We carry a level of fear. I know we preach that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. Yes, God has not given it to us. We
But that
just
don't
like
mean
to
we
take
picked
it.
up.
There you go. So, but we're battling with these things. We're battling with these things from a couple standpoint, and we're battling with these things individually. And so, when you understand that, then whatever your spouse opens up to you about, you don't need to weaponize that. You need to understand that they were showing you that they feel safe with you by
Mhm.
opening up. And if I feel safe with you by opening up, and you violate this safe space, then you don't have that opportunity again, or it takes a long time to
Yeah.
reestablish it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when healing finally starts, when someone finally feels that safety, and maybe you've gone through some stuff, maybe you've had some situations, and they feel safe enough to share with you, then if they say something like, "I'm not okay," trust that, honor that, move in that without shame, without performing and making a big deal out of it, without pretending like everything's okay, because a lot of times we like to like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine," or "Oh yeah, I'm good, I'm good," but we're not. And it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay not okay.
That's good.
And so, how do you go back in? Ephesians 4:29 says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but
Nothing.
only what is helpful for building others up."
Mm.
And in our society, especially in this present climate, there is so much volatility. There is just so much angst and so much pain that is being,
Spewed.
yeah, all over the place.
Right.
And it's venom.
Right.
And so
Right.
what has to happen when you get a venomous bite? There has to be an anti-vax. And so what is that? That is love, that is tolerance, that is those spaces where you can come in and allow your spouse to truly tell you what's on their heart, what's on their mind, without judgment and without bringing it back up. What happened. It's Vegas. It happened. We talk about it, we move on. We don't bring it back up.
But the key is we move on. And I do like what you said. I mean, from the top down, I mean, venomous words of hatred are just being spewed, and we're seeing the effect of it. The problem is, though, over time, I'm only gonna let you beat me down so many times.
Yeah.
Right. And then when a person finally rises, at that point, they have settled in their mind that I don't care about the outcome.
I'm not taking an L.
Yeah, I'm not taking this last L. I took L's, I'm not taking this last L. And that's a dangerous place to be, because that's how people get hurt, people get killed. Violence happens when you reach that stage. Let's just call it like it is. Violence is,
and it
the
may not
final
necessarily
byproduct.
be physical. I mean, sometimes
Most time it's physical.
I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm just saying, we don't promote physical. We
No,
don't.
we
We
don't.
don't promote domestic violence.
No, we don't.
But and so sometimes the things that come out are, people running their mouths. Social media becomes one of those things, and people are on there and they're telling all their business and putting on videos and all kinds of things that could be just as hurtful or harmful to your career, to your all of those things. And so we have to really look at, as a person, when a person is hurt, they will lash out, and they will lash out in ways that are not positive, that are not beneficial to growth in your relationship.
Right. So then, if we're going to try and prevent that, what we have to learn to use is healthy words, healthy conversation, because healthy words and healthy conversations build safe spaces for couples to occupy together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you have to work on this. This is one of those things that's essential. You have to work on this, because if you don't, then what you'll do is you'll run to the fellas, or you'll run to your girlfriends or whatever, and try and find those safe spaces. And oftentimes in those spaces, they don't know all the details. They just know your side.
Because baby, we don't ever like to tell the part that we
Right,
didn't.
right. No, they just know your side, and so they're giving you information, or they're giving you advice that's
Based
simply
on-
one-sided.
Yeah.
And that's incredibly dangerous, because you didn't tell them you was being a knucklehead, right? And so they give you this advice, you come back and enact the advice that they gave you, and things go radically wrong. But that's because they only had one side of the story. It wasn't fair to your spouse, it wasn't fair to you, and quite frankly, it wasn't fair to your friends.
Right.
I mean, if you're gonna share it all. I have a rule as a pastor, and that is, if you come and tell me something about somebody, we're gonna go get to somebody, and we're gonna come in together, and we're gonna have this discussion. And if you don't have the courage to do that, then as far as I'm concerned, it don't exist.
Right.
If you don't have it, if it's really bothering you, you'll do what it takes to resolve it. But if you don't have the courage to do that, then you just want to spread some junk,
Right.
right? And I'm not the trash man. Just not, I pick up trash, I empty the trash, but that don't make me a trash man. Nothing wrong with trash man. I ain't hating on you. Make your money,
baby.
right? But so what you want to do is you have to create healthy spaces where healthy conversations can happen without fear and without something coming back later to bite you.
Yeah.
Right.
So our love work this week, we want to be intentional about creating spaces and ask each other these questions, because as we build these safe spaces, we've got to do it with intentionality and with a game plan. Okay. So what helps you feel emotionally safe with me? What makes you shut down emotionally? When you hear certain words, does that immediately make you go, I'm done with this conversation?
Right.
And if so, those are things that I need to know, so that, because they may not, again, it may not seem like a big deal to me, but these words, these things, this conversation immediately shuts you down. Is there something you've been afraid to say? And again, when you have this conversation, you need to be ready for what is going to happen. Can't be mad, can't be, in your feelings when they tell you something that maybe you don't like. Okay. How can I respond better when you're vulnerable? So what response would be acceptable? What response would help you to know that, hey, this is a safe space for you to be vulnerable? What does support look like for you right now? What does it look like for me to lend support to you right now in whatever season that your spouse is in?
Let me ask you a question. Well, two things. For me, I'm big on letting me finish my conversation, because, and it regardless if it's anybody, okay. I had to deal with a tenant the other day, and I was trying to explain to her, and she kept interrupting. I said, okay, are you going to let me talk? Because at the end of the day, I own the house, not you. Are you going to let me talk? I'm just asking a question. In other words, stop interrupting. I'm trying to have a conversation. That's number one. Number two, you mentioned something about the safe spaces, and we need to have those. But let me ask you this. If your spouse says, hey, later on we need to talk about something, is that a good strategy? Or should you just find the time and talk about it? Because to me, if you tell your spouse, hey, we need to talk about something later on, you just gave me 8 hours.
I think that creates
psychic
stress.
babble happening in my head.
Oh, I agree.
Okay,
I agree.
okay.
I agree. I don't think that should happen. I think that you need to have intentional times where you, and I also don't think that those conversations should happen in the bed. I don't think that your bedroom or your bed should be the place where you have tough conversations, because that's supposed to be your place of rest. And so I think you need to have
good
a
point.
space in your house,
Good point.
you know, your a living room, a space, whatever that is, you know, in the garden, on the front, on the back porch, you know, where your neighbors aren't seeing you. But I think you need to have a place where you intentionally come in and have conversations that may be a little more challenging, that are not in your bed and that are not in your bedroom.
I would agree
And
with that.
so, but I don't think that's helpful, because, you know, whether it's on your job or whether it's in your, that always creates anxiety. So then you spend
Right.
the whole day, you know,
Whole
doing
day.
these, you know,
Scenarios.
yes. And, you know, what could they be talking about? You know, oh, this, all of that. None of that's necessary.
It's the same with your boss. If they say, hey,
Hey,
we're
we
gonna
need
have
to
your
talk at 3
annual,
o'clock.
yeah. From 11 to 3, you ain't no good,
Right. And
right?
just say what you're gonna say. I don't need to wait. Tell me now.
I agree
Just rip the
100%.
bandage
Yeah,
off.
yeah. Hey, if I gotta bleed, then let's get the cutting over
Yeah,
with,
I mean,
bruh.
I've said that more than once. Don't
Yeah.
tell me this. Just, if you're gonna tell me something, tell me now.
So that I can deal with it and process and move on. I'm not going to live 3 hours in the world of anxiety and fear, wondering what ifs and what could be. All
Right.
right. So just tell me now, so we can move on. All right. So there's no fixing, there's no baiting, just listening and learning each other a little bit more.
So
right?
as you're doing that love language, make sure that you're taking that time to really, really start to get a better understanding of your spouse.
Mhm.
That's really what the love work is about. Even if you only do one question, and the love work will be posted today, but even if you only do one question, if y'all just sit down and work through one question this week, that's great.
Mhm.
Because each of those times is helping you to get a little bit closer and a little bit closer and a little bit closer to each other. Because I don't care how long you've been married, there's still something that you can learn about your spouse.
All the time. So listen, unhealed pain will eventually show up in communication, intimacy, trust, and even your connection. Unhealed pain. So we need to acknowledge that we have some places that have not been healed in our lives. And maybe, just maybe, your spouse is not the one that can heal it, but they are the one that can help you process through it. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, because they might not have been the
They might
ones
not
that
have,
did it.
they might be before y'all got together. They didn't know that your grandma called you cockeyed.
Right.
You know, when you were 7.
Right.
They don't know nothing about you 28. They don't know nothing about that. But that has caused you issues. So maybe they can't be the one that brings the healing, but they can be the one that helps you process through it.
Yeah.
All
And they
right.
cannot re-injure you in that space.
There you go.
Yeah. And so emotional safety is not a sign of weakness. Vulnerability is necessary to build a stronger bond. And you have to talk in order for that to happen.
Right. Strong marriages are built with honesty, where honesty feels safe and where both of you can exhale. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we just dropped some dime pieces on you. Hopefully, you took that and can learn and run with it and make your marriage the best happily ever after you ever experienced in your life. But until next week, keep building your relationship with faith, fun, and forever love. And remember, like I always say, we do it doggy style and practice making babies.
Don't practice making babies.
Practice making babies. Get some practice in.
No.
Thank you for watching, and make sure that you join us on YouTube and our webpage, Marriage Encounters with Bill and Michelle at Weebly.com.